Chris Fernari, the editor of Brewbound.com, and we're at the 2018 Craft Brewers Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. And I walked around the event looking for answers to a bunch of different questions, and I talked to folks about their biggest takeaway from the general session. Here's what they had to say.
I think my biggest takeaway was the need for the independent movement that we're seeing in the craft beer business. I think, I see this as an opportunity for these smaller guys to really identify and meet with the consumer's needs to show their craft and what they're doing on an independent level, and that seemed to really hit home for me this week.
But from the speakers, for sure, the whole idea of this independence label I think is important coming from the BA. I think that that's still very meaningful as we tell the craft beer story to our consumers in this country, and I think it's a big point of differentiation, especially when you see what's going on with some of the acquisitions that are happening. And obfuscation was the word, and I think that's an accurate word a lot of times. It's real cloudy about that ownership structure, and I do think it matters to folks.
It's good to see that 20 years later, everyone's getting on board with the idea of independent. So when we opened, we loved the idea of independent, family-owned, and now everyone's cheering that, so it's awesome.
I think that there's a lot of people in this room today and at this conference that are really focused on the future and maturing businesses. We're not going to see the same level of growth and percentage of growth that we've seen in the past. So I think there's a lot of the brewers and owners in the room focused on their future and including the best way to get from 1 to 3 to 5 years down the road and even further. So maybe a level of sustainability for your business and the importance of operating with good business foundations.
I think it's a kind of a lot of what we've been reading about in the news the past few months. There's a slowdown in growth. We're still growing, but we're not seeing the double-digit growth we were seeing for a long time. It's challenging, especially for guys like us who are 2.5 years in. We still are capitalizing on a lot of the opportunity out there, but I know that that's not necessarily the case for others. What kind of worries me a little bit is that a stagnating market for some can be a stagnating market for all.
Well, Deb at New Glarus, I thought, did a great job of showing how with focus and discipline and a focus on a local market, you can pursue a business plan that can be successful, wildly successful over a long period of time. And she and her husband have not been distracted, from their local market, as she was talking about, being able to, distribute everywhere is not necessarily a profitable activity, and it actually can divert your attention from what makes you ultimately most successful. And I came away with the renewed appreciation of, this is a local industry, whether your local is Wisconsin, it's California, it's your neighborhood, but you better define local and focus on what's going to make you successful there and have a profitable business plan.
I think really if I take away anything, it's from the talk from New Glarus, which is when she said that profit is sanity and distribution is vanity. I think that there's so much truth in that, and I'm seeing that in the marketplace. And so that little takeaway, I think I'm going to keep that one in my head.